After counting the costs. Stay tuned. Thanks for watching.
Hello, I'm Kamal Santamaria. This is Counting the Cost on Al Jazeera, our weekly look at the world of business and finance. This week, we're hopping in the car. The bold and the beautiful of the automotive industry get eco-friendly at the Geneva Motor Show. We speak to General Motors' European boss. Also, a spring of discontent blossoms in Kyrgyzstan as the country grapples with huge economic debt. And iPad the sequel. Apple unveils version 2 of the tablet computer, but was it upstaged by Steve Jobs' surprise return? So welcome to the show, everyone. And first off the bat, a big thank you to Hazem Seeker for taking over hosting duties last week while I was on assignment. This week, we've decided to leave behind the turmoil of Libya and the wider Middle East and look at some other business news because it does carry on. And we want to start with the car industry, something which took a big hit during the financial crisis. So many jobs lost, mostly in the United States and Europe. In fact, at the end of 2007, the auto sector employed almost 10 million people worldwide, according to the International Labour Organization. It estimated around 1 million jobs would be lost in 2009, a tenth of the workforce. One really tough lesson came out of Thailand, where 59,000 jobs were lost in the first 3 months of 2009. But it's amazing what a year can do. Yes, some automakers were helped along by governments taking stakes or providing cash for clunkers, as they say. But the industry is showing some new strength. Europe's still a bit off, to be fair, but developing markets like China and India are storming ahead. And the US is surprisingly strong. So coming up, an interview with the boss of General Motors Europe. But first, the auto industry's push to go green, seen in evidence at the 81st Geneva Auto Show. Lawrence Lee has our report.
It's the jewel in the crown of Rolls-Royce's race to become green. The Phantom is its first ever fully electric vehicle. Powered by the largest car battery in the world, it uses the same technology as an electric toothbrush.
Our Rolls-Royce Ghost and also our Phantom are class leading regarding emissions and fuel consumption. But of course, when you look long term, I think also Rolls-Royce motor cars need to look into alternative drivetrains. And that's the reason why we are currently doing that research project here.
It costs 4 cents per mile to run. Not that its wealthy customers would be worried with skyrocketing oil prices. But the Phantom is a long way from the production line. It is, as Rolls-Royce CEO Torsten Müller-Ottfoss describes it, a research project and an experiment.
It might be hybrid, it might be plug-in hybrid, it might be electric. This is what we will find out within that test project here.
Gas-guzzling super luxury brands aren't the only automakers showing off their green credentials at the 2011 Geneva Motor Show. The premium end has weathered the economic storm and has led the recovery. India's Tata Motors, the owner of Jaguar and Land Rover, has its first diesel-electric hybrid.
The Range E is a hybrid, it's a diesel hybrid. It's a V6 diesel engine combined with a strong electric motor and a sizable battery. So the battery via plug-in can be recharged overnight.
With China overtaking Japan to become the second biggest economy, the importance of the market has Tata scrambling to find a partner to keep up with BMW and Mercedes.
And we're talking to possible joint venture partners in China. In order to be able to manufacture locally, you need to identify a partner, and we are en route of doing that.
The Range E is some 2 years away from hitting the road.
Consumers have been expecting electric vehicles on their roads ever since last year. And they were utterly disappointed that they can't buy them a year ago, and they were equally disappointed that they would cost more to buy them at all. So the consumer wants to be painlessly green. He wants to have the newest stuff at the lowest possible price. And it's this expectation management that is now slowly kicking in.
The auto market has weathered the recession. In fact, there was strong growth in the United States, China and India, But Europe remains an area of concern for both luxury and mass market brands. Sales fell almost 5% last year as Europe deals with its debt crisis. This year could see some growth, but that could all be undone by the unrest in the Middle East. But spiking oil prices could be the fuel needed for hybrid and electric car sales to really accelerate.
So let's turn to one of the big players now, General Motors, which was pretty much on the scrap heap back in mid-2009, but looking vastly different now. And joining us from the auto show in Geneva is a regular visitor to Counting the Cost. It is Nick Riley, the president of General Motors Europe. Good to see you again, Nick. Probably the third or fourth time I've spoken to you since the financial crisis. This has been quite a turnaround for General Motors, hasn't it? Back from the brink, back from bankruptcy, and back to profit.
Yeah, GM's doing great all around the world. It's turned around. We've turned around the operations in the US, and our international operations are continuing to do really well, particularly in China and Brazil and other places. In Europe, actually, you've got to ask if the glass is half full or glass is half empty. I see it as half full. We made losses last year, as predicted, but they were much smaller than the losses we had suggested over a year ago. And we look as though we're on the road back to profitability quicker than expected. And we've had great reception from our new cars, so we're feeling much more confident.
But what is it then that makes you so confident about increasing things in Europe, given that, as you've pointed out, it has, dragged the chain for the whole GM brand? What specifically are you doing to help Europe come back to life?
Well, we've been through a major restructuring of the organization, which has taken out 20% of capacity, including closing a plant down in Belgium. We've lost a lot of people in the UK and in Spain and in Germany. We still have some to go, but it's on track. And so our cost level overall is down at a level now where we can make money at a much lower industry. And we have to be there so that we don't lose a lot. And when the industry picks up, then we can make good profit. The other thing is we've had excellent performance in our manufacturing plants, so they've taken cost out there, our quality is high, and the new products that we've launched last year, and again we're going to do this year, are receiving really strong attention. We've won many awards, so we're driving it both on the revenue side and also on the cost side. We know what the plan is and we are executing it.
Yeah, exactly what I was going to ask you, because the way you have described it, it seems that it's mostly cuts that have brought about the savings. To that end, what sort of revenue predictions have you got? Because that is what's going to have to drive growth. If you have cut as much as you've said, then you're not going to be able to cut very much more.
That's correct. You can't cut yourself to success. But we have taken the cost down. But the Meriva last year, for example, a small MPV, won all sorts of awards. The Insignia has been on the market for a couple of years, having won Car of the Year in Europe 2 years ago. The Astra has also won the Golden Steering Wheel, lots of awards, high demand for all those cars. We've upgraded our Corsa, which is another high volume product, and we are introducing a new, larger MPV, the Zafira, which a few years ago defined that segment, and it's a very innovative new model. And then finally,